Good afternoon. Easter Sunday here in County Meath. I've just taken a drive there earlier and went to Holy Mass on St Mary's Catholic Church in Navan and met one or two that I know and had a bite to eat with them in one of the local hotels and took a walk around, etc. And I noticed, which is a good thing, Dunn Stores in Trimgate Street, which is the main street, was closed. Of course, so was the family store, Gagan's, a fine drapery store going there for years, and other family stores closed. Irish family stores closed. There were some other ones that's owned by other foreign people opened. And I noticed the shopping centre was closed, which was no harm because in France, all these places are closed on a Sunday, the Sabbath. Now, this is the first time I noticed it here in the shopping centre in Navan and that, so that the people working there had a chance to be with their families. It's so rare for some of them that they mightn't be able to sort of to nearly feel like strangers on a Sunday in their homes. And I noticed that Holy Mass on in Navan and St Mary's, there was a good crowd at the 1 o'clock Mass. It was 1 o'clock. But unfortunately, I noticed a lot of them not opening their mouth, sitting down when they should have been kneeling down. And when we were obliged to stand up, they were sitting down and looked around and saw that they had to stand up. Looks to me as if they've only gone to Mass today, Easter Sunday. I didn't notice them opening their mouths. You just notice these things when you're saying your prayers yourself and joining in the prayers. Like, for example, the Credo. I believe in God. The Credo is called in Latin. I learned it in Latin, so it's called the Credo. And there was other prayers, the Our Father, which you stand for. And a lot of people weren't doing that, but a lot of people that were not elderly like me, are sitting up most of the time, whatever's wrong with them. And they're just there physically, but when you're in the church, you're obliged to say prayers. But the priest seemed to be clueless when they're given their homily, the word of God, as the fellow says. And the particular priest that said Mass left a bit to be desired. He said the Holy Mass, and that's the important thing. But he was very slow. There was lay people giving out Holy Communion, and lay people's attendance to me. We would kneel at the altar, which is a good thing. To do that in Navan, which you don't do it in too many other places. But he should have been out doing it, and he seemed to be, I don't know what was wrong with him. And then when he was doing it, he had to go to one of the Eucharist meals and get some communion from them. So he looked like a poor priest that just wasn't able to manage. And one of the sad things was when he finished the Mass, he was congratulating people that had done this, that, or the other over the Easter. I presume they were already thanked. I don't think there was much need for him to be at the same racket. And one thing he missed out on was giving the blessing at the end of Mass. And sometimes priests often are outside so that you can chat with them. But he didn't go outside. He disappeared inside into the sacristy. So these are just observations. And if you're going to be celebrating Mass, do it with all this reverence that's required. And, give a sermon or give a homily that uplifts people. This didn't. And I think when people are there, and anybody should know that a lot of them is not there on a regular basis because and yet they had children with them. So they a homily to encourage them to come and to save their immortal souls. There's none of those type of sermons. I'm just remarking on this, but that wasn't my main purpose. I was glad to see the shops closed, especially the shopping centre and all this, so that for the Sabbath, and that's the way that happens in France. All these supermarkets are closed, and it's only a bread store, boulangeries open for a few minutes. And another thing that they have in France that they haven't got in Dublin, even in cities in this country, is public toilets in every town and village, even in a village. And also they have in these villages places that you can go for walks, lovely long walks in the countryside and kind of special type walks, no matter how small the village is, and public toilets that are clean. But it means people can use them. In Dublin, there's no such thing. You have to go into a shopping centre or something like that. And I don't know how tourists manage. It's another neglect in some ways of this the authorities that's responsible for these things. Because I want to go back to the drawing board and think of people and think of visitors and their needs in this department. Copy what they do in other civilized countries. They're sort of gone back. There used to be public toilets when I was young, but I don't know why they did away with them. They probably might have cost money or something, perhaps. They don't do too much for people as far as I can see, but that's neither here nor there. This is Easter Sunday, and I want to talk about primroses. In County Meath at this time of the year, on the side of the road where there's banks and things like that, there are primroses out. These come out, nobody plants them, the man above. They come out every year in this country. And funny enough, I saw them in France when I was there. Myself and my late wife spent usually a month or two in France, usually in the spring, because it might get a bit too hot in the summer. We're not used to this. I don't take too kindly to this 24, 25 degrees or maybe even more. I'm not used to it and I don't like it. First of all, you get these mosquitoes, those ones that you bite. But anyway, the primroses, they're on the side and nobody plants them. And they're a beauty. They're out now and they'll be here probably visible until towards the middle of May or thereabouts. I've just noticed them today, for example, that's the first time, and they're out in bloom. It's a lovely sight. It's sort of another sign of spring and summer coming. And that gives us a bit of a lift because we've nice long evenings and a bit of warmer weather, which we can do with. Usually not too warm. It doesn't get any more than about 80, 90 degrees, 20. And it's unusual for it to be any hotter because we're not used to it. And they needn't be talking about climate change. That's the way the weather is. And there was one summer there and when we were going on holidays, and we went on holidays down to a seaside place in County Wexford, and we took an extra sort of normally 2 weeks. We took an extra sort of a couple of days. It rained solid for every day, but the water was warm, and we had swims, so we were drowned getting in and drowned getting out. So this is the type of weather, and that was a terrible summer. The only good time in that summer was the which weekend, and we sat out in it and had a picnic. But the rest of the time, you certainly couldn't sit out in it unless you had an umbrella and all the rest of it. It rained cats and dogs, the fella says. So that was that summer. But generally speaking, we get a good month or two in that. We often get a sup of rain. This is why the country is green. Other countries don't get enough rain. And the rivers, in Spain, the rivers, they call them rios or something. And most of them is running dry, except in the north part of Spain. But certainly in the Midlands and that, honest to God, it's a bit like the Sahara, to my way of thinking. You'd be burned alive, especially if you happen to be there any time from April onwards. The best thing is to bail out of it if you're not used to it. We had a house there one time, we got rid of it, thank God, in 2009. No, I'm telling a lie. It was later than that. I forget now. Anyways, we got rid of it. Thanks be to God. We didn't make money on it compared to what we paid, but we had the use of it. And of course, we have the use of it, and friends that we had and all the rest were able to use it. You have to maintain it, paint it, because when when it rains, there's some kind of dust in the air, and it covers everything in dust. So if you have a car, we had a car there, and it's full of dust, so you have to start cleaning everything. You can't relax. Their rain is different than ours. It brings down dust. And I mentioned something about the Sahara, but I think it's from their own country. Nothing to do with the Sahara. They're blaming the Sahara. It's themselves. So I was just talking about the primroses. It's a sight to behold. Nature is marvelous what it provides for us, for our uplifting. So today is Easter Sunday, and thank God it's not as good a day as before, but it's not too bad. It's up a rain, probably needed, and the shops closed in respect for Easter Sunday and the Sabbath. They could do that all every Sunday, and give the people working in them places a chance to be with their families, and perhaps go to mass, things like that. Say the Holy Rosary in their home every night. It just nourish their soul. I notice a lot of them is not doing that. God help them. They'll regret it when they come to sort of bid this earth goodbye. To watch that. So I hope you've had a good day so far. You're not overdoing it. You're spending time with your family, and I hope they're in good spirits and none of them too cranky and needing all this attention. You know yourself. When we were young, because we must have been a handful. Because I know when the Father, Lord have mercy, used to bring us in on the train from Houghton to Dublin. We were no sooner sitting in that train than we were up investigating this, that, and the other, and checking if there was any toilets, all this type of stuff. And the same thing when he brought us into Beauties in Westmoreland Street, where my aunt worked. The first thing we did was down the stairs. We wanted to test these things that you could wash your hands and air come out, because it was the only place in the country at the time that had that. Now a lot of them has it, of course. But these are all the sort of, so like, he must have been wondering, God, I hope nothing happens to him, because he was a guard, so he'd be worried about in case something might happen. You know yourself. But fathers would be like that, and mothers too, for that matter. Because when you're young, you're doing things that you just don't realise. You're investigating. But happy Easter anyways, and I hope the rest of the day is good for you. God bless. Thank you.